Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the 2021 Range Rover Sport HSE in the Silver Edition. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Jaguar Land Rover here in downtown Salt Lake for giving me some time with this Range Rover Sport. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. Under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission and is paired to a hybrid system. Total system output is 398 horsepower and then 472 pound-feet of torque, with the combined fuel economy being 42 miles per gallon equivalent. Go to the front end of the Range Rover Sport. So first off, you've got the long flat hood, which is kind of a signature of the Sports. And then I love how they have this black accent piece here in the center. It does say Range Rover on it. Definitely breaks everything up, especially with all the silver you have on the gigantic hood. And then coming down below, we've got these full LED lights. I love the look of the turn signals, and then the LED accent light as well just looks really nice and modern. And then notice how they've blacked out the front grille, they blacked out the logos, and then just down below as well. So you kind of have the contrast between all the silver and the black. There are parking sensors along the front, and then notice how they kind of blacked out that little portion right there along, and then they did metallic gray there in the center. But yeah, overall, just a really handsome vehicle from the front end. Coming around the side here, we've got two 75mm tires wrapped around 21-inch wheels in the front, and then over in the rear as well. And then the Range Rover Sport does come with air suspension, and then notice the parking sensor kind of sitting there on the side. And then another nice accent piece they have here is you've got this little piece right there, again, another black accent piece, which breaks everything up with all the silver. And then you've got the mirrors that have been blacked out as well, that also kind of accents everything. And then here at the bottom, notice how they blacked out that bottom portion again, so you kind of have this theme with the silver against the black. And then notice how the whole roof has been blacked out, so it gives it this kind of floating type design. Now let's pop into the rear of the Range Rover Sport. First off, the payload capacity is about 827 pounds for this specific one. And then notice that they do give you a cargo cover here in the rear, and you also get a 12 volt back here. You've got some stuff here for the hybrid system. And then my favorite feature is you have these buttons right here that'll actually raise or lower the rear. So if you need to load something up and you need the vehicle to be a little bit lower, then you just lower it down, and then when you're done, press the raise button and raise it back up. But my favorite part is this strap right here. So most car manufacturers are just gonna have a plastic tab, but not Range Rover. They give you this really nice leather strap to open up this extra storage compartment here, which has some stuff down there, obviously, to help out with the car, right? You've got some extra wheel locks, for example. But I just love how it's a leather strap. Now let's go over the rest of the rear. First off, I'll pop this on so you guys can see the full LED lights. I love how they did a 3D look with the lights. Definitely a unique aesthetic there. And then you've got more blacked out Range Rover logos. And then also it says P400E, again E because this is a hybrid. And then coming down below, you've got the two exhaust tips out here at the back, and then the receiver hitch as well. Parking sensors all along the back. And other than that, that's everything for the rear. Let's go over the door panel here in the rear. So first off, notice that you've got a couple speakers there for the Meridian sound system, and then you've got the leather padding up here in the center, and then on the armrest as well with the blacked out stitching. And then notice that you actually have this little icon right there that actually tells you if you're about to open up the door, if someone's in your blind spot. So huge piece of safety technology. And then the door handle definitely has a unique feel to it. Coming to the seats here, we've got the black on black theme. So you have the blacked out stitching and then the blacked out leather with the perforated leather here down the center portion. I really like the design they did here on these seats. I think it looks just really aesthetically pleasing. And let's actually pop in. So stepping in, it's really easy to get in. Again, the air suspension aids with that, so you can kind of have it lower down, so it's easier to get in and out of the Sport. Headroom is really solid. I'm 5'11". Legroom's good. They give you this nice storage container there on the back of the seat. And then notice that you've got climate controls here for the rear passengers, which is a nice luxury feature. And then down below, you've got an area where you can charge a bunch of devices. And then finishing things off, you have probably the most elegant cup holder situation that I have ever seen in my life. So you have like this giant cup holder armrest with some storage space, but it's just like massive. And I love how the handle to pull it down, again, most cars it'll just be a flimsy piece of plastic, but this definitely looks and feels a lot nicer. Now here's the door panel at the front of the Range Rover Sport. So again, they continue the theme of the leather being all over the door panel, and then where you're going to rest your arm as well. The window controls are here at the top. They just feel and look really nice. The actuation on them is just perfect. Got the mirror control right there, and then notice you got a bunch of speakers here, all for the sound system. This does come with memory seats, and then you still have that cool door handle here in the front as well. And then the front seats still get that really neat design with the stitching that goes through the headrest and then into the perforated part of the seats. And then these bolsters are really nice, so they hold you in place nicely, but they're not so tight that they constrict you in any way. And then down below, it's really soft where you actually sit down. And then notice that you've got your adjustments there on the side of the seat. And then there is the pedal layout there at the bottom. And then this is just to release the hatch. You've got the gas cap release. And then other than that, there's one more look before we pop in. Now let's start things off here with the steering wheel. So first off, they do a really cool design for the material use on the steering wheel. You've got soft touch leather here on the outside, and you've got the metal trim that kind of goes around the whole steering wheel. And then we've got perforated leather in the center. It just lends to a really cool, unique aesthetic here on the steering wheel. And then notice you've got your cruise control here on this side with the heated steering wheel button there at the bottom. And then you've got this for your phone controls, radio controls, all that. So they kind of have it segmented on either side. And yes, even the airbag cover has leather and stitching on it. And then notice you've got the paddle shifters here on the back, so you can shift the gears yourself with that 8-speed automatic. And then you have the turn signal stock with the lights integrated into it, and then you've got the windshield wiper stock on the other side. And if you guys are wondering, the steering wheel is power adjustable. It's over here on the right side, and that'll let you adjust it. It'll go forward, backwards, up and down, any sort of direction you want pretty much. So here's the center gauge cluster. Notice you've got the speed over there on the left side. On the right side, you've got a gauge that shows you what's happening with the hybrid system. It shows you how much charge you have. It shows you whether you're in the charge mode, eco, power, or the boost mode because you're going really crazy on the accelerator pedal. And then we do have these screens set up that you can scroll through here in the center, which I just think looks really aesthetically pleasing being between both of the gauges. But I mean, it literally gives you every bit of information you could ever want. My favorite is obviously the off-road information, but also you have the hybrid content, which notice that you can decide what you want displayed and all of that there in the center stack. So super customizable. And I mean, again, it shows you tons of information there. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, we're going to go over the camera aspect of it. You do have a backup camera right there, and it does have trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. And I just like the coloration of the lines. I think it looks really good, but resolution on the camera is really nice. And then notice it does have the blind spot thing telling me that people are driving behind me. Another nice piece of safety technology. And then remember, you do have the parking sensors in the front as well as the rear. Now let's go over the rest of the infotainment system here in the Range Rover Sport. So first off, it looks a little bit intimidating because you have the 2-screen setup, but it's actually very easy to use. First off, you've got this center screen on the home tab, and notice you do get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay with it, and then even a web browser, which is pretty neat. Ambient lighting, which let's see what our lighting colors are. That's always very important. So since this is the hybrid version, I think for today's video, we're gonna pick a blue because that's kind of a hybrid type color, or we could pick purple if we wanted to be a little bit crazy today. It's actually called ultraviolet, sorry. But yeah, really intuitive. They have a bunch of shortcut buttons here at the bottom. Response time on the screen is very quick. And so overall, it's a really easy to use infotainment system. It's very nicely integrated into the dash as well. And yeah, I like the top part a lot. Now the bottom screen right here is actually just as easy to use as the top screen. Everything is very nicely labeled. So for example, if you want to go to the seats, then you just press the seats button, and then notice that you just press the on button, and then you can twist this dial down here to turn on or off the heated or cooled seats. Again, just very intuitive, very user friendly. And then you have the vehicle tab, which lets you go through the drive modes. We'll go over that in just a little bit. But my favorite thing about these climate controls is if you press them down, then notice that it goes between the climate control and then also the seat control, so you get a shortcut button right there. And then also, notice when I press the climate tab and go over here, I go, okay, well, I want to change the fan speed. So you press the fan speed button, and then notice that dial becomes the fan speed button. So just pretty cool how they have integrated multiple controls into these two dials. And again, just really easy to use. Now here's the shifter for the 8-speed automatic. It does have a manual shift function. Again, you can use the shifter here, or you can use the paddles, whichever you prefer. If you're wondering, you just go over to drive, click it over, and then pretty intuitive, easy to use with that. And then you just press the P to go back into park. A couple cup holders here, which you can just cover with that little portion of the tray. Got the EV mode right here, the stability control, and then also you have a bunch of controls here in this area. Most important, you've got the air suspension controls to raise and lower the air suspension right here. This is the drive mode select, which we'll get into in just a minute. You've got your hill descent control, and then you've got our low range, and then the parking brake right there behind it. Now with the drive mode select, all you have to do is just push that dial up, take it out of auto mode, and then you'll get a depiction here and then also in the center screen. So they kind of double up on that so that you have two places to look at, depending if you're the passenger or the driver and you're looking at the drive modes. I feel like this screen is kind of more for the passenger to look at, and then this is more for the driver to look at if you're going to the drive mode. So like, I think that's pretty neat that you can ask your passenger, hey, can you change the drive mode into something else? But let's go through the different drive modes. So the pop-up here on the screen, and then you can see it's labeled there at the top. So notice that we've got the dynamic, which is kind of like your sport mode, the eco, and then we have our comfort, which is going to be kind of like your normal mode. And then you've got the grass, gravel, snow program, and then we've got the mud and the ruts. And then after that, oh, we skipped all the way to the rock crawl, but before the rock crawl, we've got the sand. And then if you're like, you know what, I don't want any of that, all you have to do is just press it back down and it goes right back into auto mode. We have the center console here, which has beautiful leather all around it. And then opening it up, you have storage space here on the top that you can use, and it also doubles as a fridge. And then you've got little areas we can charge some devices right there, and even a micro SIM, which I think is pretty neat. Not a lot of cars actually have that, but the fridge is definitely the high point for me because I always carry around a water bottle and it'd be nice to have it cool. And then finishing things up, you guys are probably like, how do you get into the glove box? Well, we have buttons here. So you press the lower button, it opens up the lower glove box. You press the upper button, and it opens up the upper glove box, which actually opens from the top. I almost forgot about that. But yeah, it's all lined with felt. So storage space from a glove box perspective for an SUV of this size is just massive. And it makes sense because it's supposed to be like a vehicle you can take off-road. You need to store a bunch of stuff. Now up top here we have the controls for the sunroof. This does have a full panoramic sunroof, and I just have the shade on because it is super hot today and I don't want to get burned. But yeah, full panoramic sunroof, and then it has a darker headliner. Now here's the window sticker for the Silver Edition, and notice that here on the window sticker it labels everything that the Silver Edition includes. I really like these Range Rover window stickers because not only do they tell you all the equipment it has, it tells you the horsepower and torque figures for this specific powertrain setup. Not a lot of manufacturers do that. And then notice you've got all of the features. Feel free to freeze the frame on any portion. So we can see that we've got the standard MSRP, and then this one does have some optional equipment added to it. And so then the total MSRP here is $91,550 before any type of market adjustment. And that all being said, let's take this bad boy out and see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off here in this Range Rover Sport. So first off, visibility of the hood is actually really good. So you have a really large windshield, but on top of that, because you have that flat hood design, you can very easily tell where the hood ends. And then here's our visibility through both of the mirrors. They do come with blind spot monitoring. And then here's throughout the rest of the rear, which I mean, for an SUV of this size is pretty normal. And that all being said, well, let's set off. So we are setting off here in the Range Rover Sport Hybrid. And first off, let's talk about the road noise and the ride quality. So from a ride quality perspective, it is exceptionally smooth. And downtown Salt Lake is actually a really good place to test out ride quality because these roads just have so much traffic. So you guys can see that they're pretty beat up, especially right there. And it's so smooth over everything. All of the weird undulations in the pavement, all of that, it just takes it so well. So from a ride quality perspective, really, really nice. And then from a road noise perspective, it does a really good job. And again, downtown Salt Lake is a great place to show this because you've got a lot of traffic, a lot of noise. It's actually pretty windy today as well. And I'm not hearing any of it. It's kind of like I get an escape from the world while I'm driving this, which I think is definitely a nice feeling. I mean, that's kind of what you want when you are driving a luxury vehicle like this. Now let's see what the turn-in and everything is like as we come up here. The brakes are really nice. They don't feel weird. Some hybrids will have strange brakes. This does not have that weird hybrid brake feel. These brakes feel very normal, very progressive. So it's not anything that you would have to get used to. They just feel like regular brakes. Yeah, turn-in's really nice. It's very easy to maneuver the Range Rover, so like just solid on that aspect as well. Now I am going to pop it over into the dynamic setting because we are going to get just a little acceleration and see what this hybrid 4-cylinder is all about. Ooh. So you definitely get tons of torque off of the line from the hybrid system, and then it goes into the engine and it gets up and it moves. Like it's like a punch. That is really good. Like that was quick getting right up to speed right there. I'm really impressed with the acceleration on this actually. And then other than that, let's talk about kind of like the creature comfort side. So something I thought was cool is this car memorizes what you had everything set at when you last got out of it. So I had the air conditioned seat on, and then I had the fan speed set to, I believe, 4 or 5 it looks like. And it memorized that, and so then it automatically went back to that, which I think is pretty cool. And then get another, yeah, it's quick. It's definitely like, it feels like the 400 horsepower number that this says. It definitely feels that way. But let's get into summing things up here with this Range Rover with the hybrid system. So first off, I think it looks really good on the outside. It looks just like any other Range Rover Sport. So you still get that really cool aesthetic on the outside. Beautiful luxury interior here with just a bunch of modern tech. And then from a driving experience, it doesn't drive weird. It doesn't feel weird or lurchy like some hybrids. It just feels very smooth and progressive. The brakes don't feel weird either. That feels great. So it feels like you're driving a normal car, but you're driving this Range Rover that obviously looks really nice on the outside. You get a nice interior, and then you're gonna get better gas mileage. And so this is kind of the Range Rover that you get if you want the really cool looks of the Sport, but you don't want to deal with the loud noise from the V8, which I understand that's an awesome sound, but some people just want like a true luxury car experience, which I feel like this gives you more of a luxury car experience because it's quieter than the V8 cars. And so you don't get the noise, and it's really smooth, and you get good gas mileage. And so if that's what you're looking for, then definitely check out this hybrid. It's cool, and it's fast, guys. It is fast. Now that's going to sum things up for our video here on this 2021 Range Rover Sport in the Silver Edition. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Range Rover / Jaguar here in downtown Salt Lake for giving me some time with this Range Rover Sport. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.